What's up, everybody? We're back here with another video today, and again we are talking about one of the greatest men in American history, Theodore Roosevelt. So I know I did a video on him a few weeks or months ago, and the reason I'm doing another one is I actually read 2 more books about his life in that series. So if you watch that video, you know that it went up to the point in his life when he was elected. Well, not actually elected, when he was elected vice president, and then the president was murdered. And he then became president of the United States. I listened to another book, Theodore Rex, which is about his time as a president and how he shaped the world in his image. And he was such an effective, wonderful president and one of the most well-liked, well-rounded liked presidents. How he really did a lot of good. He was loved by the people, loved all over the world, and really made a lot of effective, good changes that we're even still feeling the positive benefits today, especially with the national parks and the environment and stuff. And the third book was about after the end of his presidency, what he did. He went on a tour of Europe, and he was very well received by different kings and all the powerful people in Europe, and then coming back to America. So in this video, I want to reemphasize the points that made him so powerful and so effective, and I want to point out some of the ways that you could actually take lessons where he failed in his life. So first, the positives from Theodore Roosevelt. It was the intense energy that he brought. He was always the most energetic, the most noticed, the most powerful person in the room. He was probably one of the most charismatic people ever to live. Now, of course, if you're not born with Rooseveltian charisma, you're just not born with it. But you can develop your charisma drastically. So by developing your charisma and by bringing energy into the places you are. Yes, you might not be that great looking. You might not be tall. There's different things that do affect your charisma. But when you bring energy, when you bring the vibe, people are going to pay attention to you and you can get your message across. The second thing was that Theodore Roosevelt was a doer, not a talker. Now, he talked a lot, don't get me wrong. He would dominate almost every conversation that he was in, but he was also a doer. He wouldn't plan, he wasn't a theorizer. He would take the best action that he felt, and he would take it, and he would do it. Now, he was incredibly smart and incredibly good at this, and most of the time his actions were correct. And that's something that he learned through experience of doing this. But if you want to be effective, if you want to get things done in your life, if you want to influence people, you have to be a doer. People don't want to follow the theologian type. They want to follow the general, the leader, the man who will take action. Or, from Theodore Roosevelt's very famous quote, the man who's actually in the arena. And the third step to the Rooseveltian influence and power was that Theodore was incredibly prolific at his reading. He read so much. He made me ashamed of how much I read. He would read thick books and quickly. And because of that, he was so knowledgeable about almost everything. He was really interested in so many different things, and he would absorb that information really quickly. And then when he was in a situation, he could apply. He might be, let's say, there was a situation in Venezuela, I believe, where World War I almost happened about 10 years before during Theodore Roosevelt's presidency, and he was able to make these decisions so well, and it's because he had a knowledge of naval history, he had a knowledge of history, he had a knowledge of geography, and he was able to avert war through swift, effective action backed by tons and tons of knowledge. Now, Theodore Roosevelt was not perfect, and this was put on clear display during the third book, Colonel Roosevelt. So he went on a tour of Europe. He was one of the most famous men in the world at that time, and then he came back to America and decided to run for president again 4 years after not taking the Republican nomination. So President Taft was the current president, and Theodore Roosevelt actually broke off, started his own party, and ran against him. And he ended up basically just wrecking Taft and losing together, and the Democrats won massively during that election. And he became very bitter and angry, and he didn't adjust to the times. Now, another thing that was also simultaneously happening is his health was deteriorating. He was never a healthy boy. He was not really a healthy man, and in his old age, he was only in his 50s, but he was becoming old. The energy, the power, the charisma that he brought, it was decreasing. So there's 2 things that you can take from this, and it is to be healthy and to adapt to changing times. Theodore Roosevelt did not do those things, and because of that, his time benefiting the world was cut short. He was not healthy. He didn't eat well. He exercised a lot, but he pushed himself too hard, and he didn't didn't take care of his body. He didn't get his sleep. He didn't eat well, and because of that, he ended up dying of a heart attack at the age of 60. And the second thing was that he never adjusted to the times. As America advanced, as World War I came on, he wasn't there to adapt. He didn't change, and he became very bitter and angry because of that. So, in summary, if you guys want to take on this three-part biography series, it is absolutely worth it. You will learn skills to attack the world and mold it to your image, but you also learn what not to do as you have reached a peak, and how to continue on to do better and not act like Theodore Roosevelt by staying healthy and by adapting as the world changes. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this quick video about Theodore Roosevelt. He was wonderful, he was powerful, he was charismatic, but he was not perfect, and I loved how the author showed all sides of him. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. And as always, if reading is knowledge and knowledge is power, then my friends, reading is power.